So meter is in metric system or in SI system you can say, meter is the unit of length. Meter is the base unit to measure the length or distance. Before metric system proposed by France, for earlier time, in ancient time, the length was measured with different units. They were using different units to measure the length. Suppose for example, some famous units of length I will mention here, which were used in India also. You might have heard from your grandfather or from your parents in village, they were using gaj. Gaj, that was the unit of length. And similarly, this bigha was the unit to measure the area in India. So there were many other units in use, where the gaj was the most famous unit in India. Similarly, one of the oldest unit of length is this cubit. Cubit is one of the oldest unit of length, and this unit was proposed, this was given by Egyptians. Thousands years back, the Egyptians defined the unit of length, which is called cubit. And cubit was defined as per the Royal Egyptian standard. Cubit was defined the length between elbow to tip of the middle finger. In Egypt, there were standards fabricated by granite. So those granite rods were used as a standard of cubit. They were called royal cubits. So Egyptians were using those granite rods, which were called royal cubits, and they were verified and stamped by enforcing authority in Egypt. So those royal cubits made of granite were used throughout the Egypt and other Middle East countries. So this presently 1 cubit is 18 inch. Presently 1 cubit is 18 inch. So this is one of the famous unit of length which was given by Egypt thousands of years back. Another unit of length which you might have heard and which was frequently used in Europe, that was yard. So yard is another unit of length. It was used in Europe. So initially, yard was the length of belt used by the Saxon kings. So there was a community, Anglo-Saxons, in Britain who inhabited the Britain. Those Saxon kings were using a belt in their waist, and the length of that belt was assumed as 1 yard. And later on, after that, in 12th century, British King Henry redefined the yard as the distance between tip of the nose to the tip of the thumb of outstretched arm. By King Henry, the yard was defined as the distance between tip of the nose to tip of the thumb in a outstretched arm. Presently, 1 yard is 36 inch. Another famous unit of meter is foot. All of you are maybe knowing about foot, and presently in India it is also used. In most of the Commonwealth countries it is used, foot, because there was a system of units which is called FPS system, foot pound second. In FPS system, foot is the base unit of length. So this foot was defined by King Louis of France. French King Louis defined the foot as the length of his foot. That was called length of royal foot. So that was defined by French King Louis and till French Revolution in 1790, this foot was used throughout in France and other parts of the world. This is one of the most famous unit of length. So presently we know 1 foot is 12 inch. So till French Revolution, the basic unit of length was foot, and after French Revolution, metric system was adopted in France, and unit of length was changed from foot to meter. Another important unit which is called inch. This inch was also very famous unit of length, and initially the inch was defined as the width of thumb, width of a man's thumb. That was the definition of inch. But later on, King Edward, British King Edward, he redefined this inch, and he defined the inch as length covered by 3 barley grains placed end to end. King Edward defined inch as the total length covered by 3 grains of barley when they are placed end to end. So that was the definition of inch given by King Edward. So this was some basic units of length which were used before introduction of metric system. So as we have discussed, in France, metric system was introduced after French Revolution. French Revolution, that was in 1790. That was the date of French Revolution. After French Revolution, National Assembly of France formed a commission of physicists and mathematicians to give the system for units. So this commission, which was formed after French Revolution in France, proposed metric system. Many eminent scientists and mathematicians were member of that commission. So that commission proposed a system which was called metric system. And in this system, the unit of length was defined as meter. And the commission presented its report in 1791. 1791, this commission formed by National Assembly of France presented its report, where in this report, commission recommended to set the base unit of length as meter. Some members actually proposed to define meter as the length of pendulum of a watch. Some members of commission proposed to define the meter as a length of pendulum of a watch, so that this pendulum has time period equal to 1 second. Pendulum having time period equal to 1 second. So if you presently we know the time period is given by 2 pi under root L by G. That is a formula. You all are aware with this formula for time period of pendulum. So in this pendulum, time period was fixed at 1 second. 2 pi is constant, G is also constant. So if you define the time period, then length will be constant. Length of pendulum will be constant. That length of pendulum was proposed to be equal to 1 meter, to define the 1 meter distance. Length of pendulum having time period 1 second. That was a proposal. We know that G is not uniform throughout the earth, because the basic idea to give the new metric system of unit was that system should be universal. It must have universality. so that it should not change from one place to other place. It should not be based on the dimension of king's hand or leg or something else. It should not be based on time also. So that was the idea behind this new metric system. It should be universal. Because of different values of acceleration due to gravity, this length will be different. For 1 second, length will be different for different value of acceleration. As the idea was not accepted by other members of the commission. And second proposal by the commission to define the meter was based on the great circle formed on the earth. Great circle is nothing but, for a sphere, great circle is nothing but the circle having maximum diameter, maximum radius. In a sphere you can draw various circles. Circle having maximum diameter is called great circle. In our for earth, this circle is equator. Equator is great circle. So another proposal was because this equator is dimension of equator is fixed everywhere. So that was the proposal to accept define the meter based on the length of this great circle around the earth, planet earth. That was another proposal. So finally, meter was defined by the commission. Meter was defined by the commission based on the dimension of earth. Suppose this is north pole and this is south pole, and this is equator, which divides earth in two parts. So this there will be different meridians. You might have heard about meridians, longitude, and etc. These are the basic lines on earth. So meridians are lines which starts from north pole to south pole. They join the poles actually. So these are the longitudes, and longitude with axis of earth, plane joining longitude and axis of earth is called a meridian plane. So a specific meridian was selected to define the meter, and as per that meridian, it should start from north pole and it should end at the equator. It should start from north pole and end at the equator. And this line, which is called meridian, this line should pass from Paris and Barcelona. So a survey was started to measure the length of this line from north pole to equator in 1791. This survey was started to physically measure the length between north pole and equator along a line passing through Paris and Barcelona. Survey was completed in 99. After 7 years, it took around 7 to 8 years to complete the survey. Around 7 years. After fixing the length of this line, meter was defined as 1 by 10 millionth part of length of this line. Again I am repeating, the meter was defined as 1 by 10 millionth. 10 millionth is 1 by 10 millionth part of line starting from north pole and ending at equator. That meridian length of this meridian passing through Paris and Barcelona, 1/10 millionth part of this meridian was defined as 1 meter. And after completing the survey in 1799, France officially adopted metric system. In 1799, France officially adopted metric system. In that metric system, meter was defined as 1 by 10 millionth part of distance between North Pole to equator, and this line should pass from Paris and Barcelona. So initially in 1799 only meter and kilograms were defined. Second was still not officially defined and adopted, even though it was in use in clocks, but only meter and this kilogram was officially defined in metric system, which was adopted first by France in 1799. Only France adopted this system. So meter was defined like this. That was the definition of meter. So based on this definition, a artifact or sample of rod made from platinum, pure platinum. This artifact was fabricated, made of pure platinum, satisfying this criteria, and this artifact was kept in National Museum of France, and this artifact, which was of length 1 meter, was called meter of the archives. It was called meter of the archives. It was called and stored in National Museum of France, fabricated by pure platinum. So this was up to 1799. 17 nations signed metric convention on 20th of May 1875. These 17 nations adopted metric system, which was adopted by France in 1799. So these were the member countries, 17 countries. They officially adopted metric system in their countries. So on this day, 20th of May, this is also called International Meteorological Day. So these are the organizations which were formed after metric convention. So these are all in France, because France was the base country to propose metric system initially. So they are all French acronym actually. French acronym, which I have already told you. CGPM is, in France it is called Conference General des Poids et Mesures. CIPM is Conference International des Poids et Mesures. BIPM is Bureau International des Poids et Mesures. They are all French acronym, because the system, metric system, was a French system of units. In 1956, India passed Weights and Measures Act 1956 and adopted metric system officially in India. And National Physical Laboratory located in Delhi is the nodal agency to implement, to enforce the resolutions passed in CGPM, amendments in definitions of base units, etc. New standards are distributed by CGPM throughout the world among all member countries. So National Physical Laboratory in India, they keep standards of kilograms, standards of length, etc. So that is a nodal agency to coordinate with these international agencies. Pure platinum standard, which was stored in National Museum of France, called meter of the archives, that was changed. So after metric convention, new standard of meter with same length was formed, and this was fabricated from platinum and iridium. It was not fabricated from pure platinum. The new standard was formed by 90% platinum and 10% iridium alloy. This new standard of meter was stored under BIPM, in the custody of BIPM, and the definition was same as defined during French metric system. So this was up to 1875. After this, it was felt that this measurement of length is not that much accurate. So you will be surprised to know, when the 7-year survey starting from 1791 to 1799 was carried out to measure the length from North Pole to equator passing through Paris. And when after the latest technologies presently it was measured, the error of only 2000 meters, that is 2 kilometers, was observed. But the length of the standard which was kept in under BIPM custody kept same. It was not changed. So definition of meter remained same. After that, the next change in the definition of meter came in 1960. In 1960, during 11th meeting of CGPM, resolution was passed to change the name of metric system or MKS system as SI system. Name was changed from MKS system or metric system to SI system. This is called International System of Units in English, and in French it is called System International des Units. To define the meter more accurately, in 1960, radiation, electromagnetic wave radiation was used. So it was redefined as, so I have already written the data because this data cannot be remembered. So the meter was redefined in 1960, and the meter was defined as based on radiation given by Krypton 86. Krypton 86 is a gas and stable isotope. You don't think Krypton 86 is a radioactive isotope and this isotope is continuously emitting some radiation. It's not like this. Krypton 86 is a stable isotope of krypton which is inert. It's a gas. Krypton 86 is a stable isotope, and when this isotope, this gas, stable gas is heated, slightly it is heated, so the electrons in this atoms of this gas get excited, and when they jumps again to their ground state, they emit a orange red radiation, reddish and slightly orange flavor. They emit radiation in orange red texture. When these excited electrons make transition from 2p10 to 5d5 in Krypton 86 after heating, they emit a red orange radiation, and the wavelength of this radiation is 605.8 nanometer. This is 605.8 nanometer. This is the wavelength of this red orange radiation. So meter was defined in 1960 as 1650763.73. This much times the wavelength, that is this wavelength of Krypton 86 radiation. So that was the new definition of meter, which was defined as 1650763.73 times wavelength, that is 605.8 nanometer. This was the wavelength of Krypton 86 radiation. So this much times the wavelength of Krypton 86 atom was defined as 1 meter. So if you will multiply this much times to the wavelength of Krypton 86, you will get 1 meter. So that was the definition, new definition based on Krypton 86 to define the meter. In 1983, definition of meter based on Krypton 86 radiation was changed. In 1983, meter was redefined as based on speed of light in vacuum. Speed of light was defined as 299.79 792458 meter per second. So that was the speed of light. This, with the new definition of meter in 1983, another outcome was speed of light was also fixed. Meter was defined as distance traveled by light in vacuum in 1 by 299792458 seconds. 1 meter. So in 1983, CGTM passed a new resolution to redefine the meter. 1 meter was defined as distance traveled by light in vacuum in this much part of a second. So that was the latest definition of meter, which was given in 1983 and adopted by CGTM. So that was the story of meter. It started from, in early time, it started from yard and cubits and etc., inch, foot. Then meter was defined in based on the meridian of Earth. After that, it was defined based on Krypton 86 radiation in 1960, and in 1983 it was again defined as based on the speed of light in vacuum. So that was the speed of light in vacuum. That was also locked with the definition of meter. So that was the evolution, how the unit meter evolved and the definition of meter changed time to time.